and probably for good reason. The item's already being introduced, really, by the chair. So what has been happening, and what is probably, in my opinion, is a preferred way to do it, is for staff to give a presentation. Then the applicant has an opportunity to present. And then there could be questions of either of those by the commissioners. And then the chairman opens the public hearing. And it's important to state now we open the public hearing to receive public comments. So if that's something that the commission feels is a good way to handle it, not the way it's written, but the way it's been conducted recently or in the past, then perhaps we should consider amending the general procedure for public hearings. So once the chairman opens the public hearing, the commission receives public comments. The chairman then can enumerate the public comments for staff or applicant clarification. The chairman asks for any further questions. And then the chairman entertains a motion to close the public hearing. I would recommend that, to keep this orderly, that the commission ask staff if they have anything to add. This is not listed in the procedure, but it's something that I would suggest for you to consider. Someone might have said something that was incorrect. There could be some confusion about the facts of the case, and it would be an opportunity for staff to clarify that. When you conduct the hearing, you want to minimize people raising their hand and speaking out loud or requesting permission to, when I say people, I don't mean the commissioners, I mean people out here. So that's one way to minimize that, is just to have that one opportunity for staff to provide clarification on things. So then the planning commissioners discuss the application. Someone makes a motion to approve, deny. Someone needs to second the motion, and then you take a vote on the motion. Is there any question about that? Okay. So, we have put together a hypothetical agenda. And are you giving... Oh.
I'm the applicant.
That's right, yeah. And so I'll turn this over to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, well, we'll just pick up where we left off. It looks like we have another new business item on the agenda, being, this is where I go ahead and read that off straight up, CUP-14-05, Acme Self-Storage, 2112 Maple Street. Conduct a public hearing to consider a conditional use permit for Acme Self-Storage to operate a self-storage facility at 2112 Maple Street. The application is filed by F.L. Wright Architects.
Okay, as a member of staff, I'm going to just provide you with a brief presentation on this item. So this item, as you stated, is for a self-storage facility. The applicant requests approval of a conditional use permit to operate a mini warehouse at the address as you stated. The property is surrounded by existing C3 zoning to the east, south, and west, and the right-of-way for the 56 highway overpass at New Century Parkway. The subject property currently contains 2 existing buildings. First phase was developed in 2001. Staff has analyzed this and is making a recommendation that this item be forwarded to the City Council with a recommendation of approval subject to the stipulations as stated in the staff report. stipulations A through E. And with that, I'll conclude my comments and stand for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I do have a question.
Okay.
But it's just more of a question of procedure. Is this where a public hearing item would be opened? Would I happen to know that from the agenda, or I just ask if there's any public comment?
At this point, if there's a specific question about something in the staff report, you would ask the commissioners if they have any questions of staff. If they don't, then, and I'm not sure it states that in the general procedure. So some of this is just how we've been doing it and how I've seen it done in other places as well. If there are, once those questions are answered, or if there are no other questions, then you hear from the applicant.
Okay.
And when the mistake that I've seen happen, not recently necessarily, but there's some confusion about what is in the public hearing. So the applicant presentation, there might be a mistake made that is part of the public hearing, and it really isn't. That's just the applicant presentation. And so now would be a time to ask the applicant if they have any presentation. Now, in some cases, the applicant will say, I don't have anything to add. Also, quite often the applicant, it might be the property owner or a developer, and they don't make the presentation, but their design professional makes the presentation. So their architect or landscape architect or civil engineer. And so that's the next step. Okay?
Good evening. I'm Lois Sullivan on behalf of FL Wright Architects and the property owner. We are asking for an extension of this conditional use permit. It was approved in 2000, and unfortunately, when we tried again, you wouldn't approve exterior storage, so we kind of scratched that off the list, but we really think that exterior storage as part of this would be beneficial, but we'll go through and save the business, and a self-storage facility is very necessary and a good neighbor to the community. So we would ask that you approve this permit for us.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Do we have any other input from staff?
No, ma'am.
Any comments?
Is this your question then, is here, how do you know if it's a public hearing?
How do you
So
know when it's, yeah, go ahead.
that was her question, was, okay, at this point, how do we know if this is now supposed to be a public hearing?
It's not public until she announces.
Who announces?
The
So-
chair.
So I would,
She doesn't know. Do it now.
Typically, public comments are on the agenda. If there's
right,
gonna be
it's on
a-
the agenda, right?
Yes, it's
Okay.
on the agenda. Is that all you needed to know?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it was,
She's just wondering, how do I know if
state,
there's gonna be public comments? It's on the agenda.
But there is
There
no
isn't any on this one.
spot, so you would never open it for
Right.
public
There is no,
comments.
there is no public comments on this one, so, no.
And you
So-
would know because they signed in that they were gonna speak?
You would know because it was-
Let me answer that. So if there is a public, if it's an item that requires a public hearing, you need to open it for a public hearing, even if no one has signed in. Because someone might have come in late, you want to just make sure there's opportunity for someone to comment.
Yeah.
And it's not a public hearing until you've heard from staff, heard from the applicant, you've gotten your questions, your immediate questions answered by staff and the applicant, and then you open the public hearing, and you open it for public comment. So now would be the time for you to say, I now open the public hearing on this item. And is there any member of the public here that wishes to comment?
Is there any member of the public who wishes to comment?
Yeah, just pretend I'm a...
And we've actually opened a public hearing when there's no one in the room.
I think it's always,